The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios.
Hi, this is Mia Mosinzia, also known as Mia No Time for Love. Check out my latest book, Missing, available on Amazon.
The Mike Wagner Show, also brought to you by The Sweet Summits by Serena Wagner, available on Amazon. Highlight the Book of David.
It's now time for the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube, iTunes, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and the MikeWagnerShow.com. Mike brings you great guests and interesting people from all across the globe. So sit back, relax, and enjoy another great episode of the Mike Wagner Show.
Hey everybody, it's Mike for the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios, brought to you by official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Mosinzia, Missing, available on Amazon, paperback and ebook, coming soon, Missing 2, double the suspense, double the fun. Check it out on Amazon. Also brought to you by a Sweet Summits by Serena Wagner, based on the life of David, including theories, quiz of paintings, King David songs, Amazon.com, keyword Sweet Summit Serena Wagner, and check out the Mike Wagner Show, MikeWagnerShow.com, 40 podcast platforms, 100 countries. Make sure you check it out today. We're here with an amazing gentleman who's an LA-based writer, blogger, proud dad of 2 wonderful children, writes about adoptive parenting, fatherhood, gay families, faith, and spiritual growth. He was born in Moscow and a graduate of Cal State University, Long Beach, and also Stanford as well. He also teaches English and linguistics at LA City College and authored multiple academic book chapters, articles, taught workshops and more, and also does some writing and been a teaching professor of 20 years. He has a new book out, which is a journey through foster adoptions to fatherhood. The book is called A Family Maybe. We'll see about that. Live, ladies and gentlemen, at Plus Studios in beautiful downtown Los Angeles, the amazing LA-based writer, blogger, proud dad, 2 children, and the book A Family Maybe, the multi-talented Lane Igoudin. Lane, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
I'm glad to be here, Mike. Like to be here.
Well, it's great to have you on board, Lane. You're an LA-based writer, blogger, proud father of 2 children. You write about adoptive parenting, fatherhood, gay families, faith, and spiritual growth. You were born in Moscow. You're a graduate of Cal State, Long Beach, and Stanford University. Teaches English, linguistics at LA City College. And you've been a writer for quite some time as well. And your new book is a journey about foster adoptions, of fatherhood, and it shows the human side of public adoption. And what's that about with A Family Maybe? We'll find out. Before getting on it, Lane, tell us how you first got started.
I'm sorry, say it again.
No, tell us how you first got started. Go way back, Sherman, way back.
How it all got started, you mean the book? Okay.
Or actually just you in general, just going way back. Like, go hop in the time machine.
Okay.
Like starting off in Russia.
Oh no, that's way far back. Well, Mike, I'm really happy, really glad to be on your show, and so and I'd like to talk about my book, A Family Baby. But I wanted to know that this is the book that I never planned to write. As you mentioned, when you were going over my bio. I'm trained as a linguist and also, as an English instructor. That's what I do. And before I wrote this book, I had done quite a lot of nonfiction. I've done book reviews, music reviews, and things like that. But I never planned to write this book. What happened was that my husband at the time, he was my partner, and I decided to have a family, to have children. And so at the time that we went into this process, there were multiple venues already available to us. There was international adoption, private adoption, surrogacy, and also foster adoption. And we chose to go the foster adoption route because we felt that we really wanted to help out the community just beyond us wanting to have children. So we were like very enthusiastic, very sort of proactive, very sort of clear-eyed, excited. And once we actually got into the system, and once the first child was placed with us, things began to go wrong.
Oh.
So it was at that point that I decided that I really need to document what's happening because there's nothing written about, when things go wrong. when you try to give a child a home. And so our story, which sort of on which went on for about 3 years, the roller coaster that we were riding, was yeah, that's what it was. I didn't plan to write this book. I was like going into it, but I started to collect the material, and I was basically saving the faxes, the court orders, all the emails, photographs, what have you. So whatever happens at the end, because it was extremely uncertain. So whatever would happen at the end, I would want to share with other people so they would know what it's like to actually go into the system, what it's like to deal with children's courts, because this is an area that was just closed off to the public. You can't just walk into a court hearing in a children's courthouse. And so we reached the end, and then I couldn't write about it.
Oh, really? Why?
Because it was so raw. It was like, I just lived through this, and now I didn't want to reopen all the wounds that were left. So I actually didn't write about it for another 4 years. And so in the meantime, the boxes with all the materials sat in my garage, and I couldn't face them. So it was only after, like I said, a certain period of time, about 4 years, that I was able to actually go in and start sort of digging through and see how I can put a coherent narrative as to what happened while we were in it. So that's how the book came about. And so from that point on, I wrote for about 7 years, and wrote and edited, and then I found a publisher, and the book came out about a year ago. And yeah, I've been talking about sharing our story. And so today I'm really glad to be able to share our story with you.
And that's amazing as well, too. And since you chose a foster route, what is the difference with the foster route with that and the international route, and also the surrogate? You mentioned the three of them, if I'm right.
Four,
international,
actually, yeah.
foster, and surrogate. What is the difference between the three, and what influenced you to go the foster route?
Right. So the international adoption is when you travel to another country and bring a child from another country. And even though this was roughly, 15, 20 years ago, there were already countries which were open to gay individuals, more so than gay couples, but gay individuals to go in and adopt a child. And so this was one route. The second route was the private adoption, still is, by the way. This is a situation when a woman, sometimes a very young woman, sometimes a career woman, decides to basically carry the child to birth, but she doesn't want to raise the child, so she is looking for a family to place the child with, and usually to remain in some sort of a contact. So those situations are usually arranged through an attorney. They do not involve the state in any shape or form, and so there, it wouldn't be such a prolonged, I guess, situation as ours was. But yeah, so that's kind of a direct arrangement between the woman giving birth and the family. And then surrogacy, of course, we know what that is. We are, my husband and I were both, working professionals, so we could afford it. But it was not really a matter of affording something. It was really a matter of really giving a child or two, in our situation, a home, because we live in Los Angeles County, which has the largest foster system in the country, larger than New York. At the time that we went into the process, there were over 30,000 kids in Los Angeles County who did not have a family.
30,000? Oh my goodness.
Over 30,000. The number fluctuated. I think at the highest it hit close to 35,000. A few years later, it went down. And now it's been sort of trickling back up. I think there's still around 20,000 kids, and back then, 30,000, that meant like one out of four foster kids in California was in Los Angeles. And that was also a pretty significant chunk of 500,000 foster kids across the United States. Today, we still have 368,000 kids in foster system. And to me, that's 368,000 kids too many. Because yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say that's a rather high number as well too, and of course,
It's a public
there's
number.
there's just the obvious factors and everything, and it's kind of disturbing. And I guess it's like how do they manage to try to keep it down? What's the best solution? And I'm going to throw this out there: if you were run the foster care system, what would you do to try to keep the numbers down, or try to get the foster kids into homes much quicker, and with all the legal tangles and everything? I mean, what would you do?
I'm all for it, and I think that's what our story illustrates. The thing is, actually, the federal law, which has been around since the mid 1990s, sets out this kind of a two-pronged approach for the child that's been taken into the system. Because and there are a lot of misconceptions, I think, about the system. Believe me, the state does not want your children. They have so many. It's so expensive. It's such a burden on the state that if they have to remove a child from a home, there's usually some important reason. If the child can't go back right away, the reason's been resolved, then actually the federal law sets out like I said, a kind of a two-track approach where one is returning back to the biological family, and that's something of course we all pray for. But also, this is what's called the concurrent track, is what will happen if the child, is unable to go back, because of whatever situation that is there. And so what's happening in real life, and it still does, unfortunately, is that the system is really overwhelmingly, I don't want to use the word biased because that would not be the right thing to say, I guess. But I think it's really inclined
in today's times. Yeah, exactly.
Inclined towards supporting the reunification with the birth family. And again, like this, of course, we all want biological children to be their biological parents. I'm all for it too. But I think the concurrent track, which is long foster care, but which I think is horrible. But the adoption of a child who will end up not having an opportunity to go back to their biological family. So I think that track should be given just as much respect. That's, I think, where it should begin with. Respect, support, and place at the table as the other track, which is the return to the biological family. And this is not taking away any of the rights of the birth parents. No, it's just saying that, from the very beginning, it should be, if the child is in the system, let's really build up both opportunities. Because what happens, my book, brings up some statistics from the time we were in it. Less than half of the kids were actually able to reunify with their family. And what about the other half? What about the other half, of them rotting in group homes, foster homes, being shuffled from one place to another, the traumas multiplying there, and the older they get, the less of the chance that anyone will take them in. Should I even cite the horrible statistics of what happens when they make it to the adulthood? 3% of them only go to college. A third of them end up in the criminal system. I mean, is this the kind of a situation we really want to have? So what we encountered was that as a foster adoptive family, we were treated as unwanted, less than. We tried to have a voice, in the process, and literally we tried to go in, to get a status over the child that's been with us longer than she was with her birth mother, and we were thrown out. They didn't want us there. And so I think in some ways the way we were treated was really the driving force behind my book, because I thought, I think I poured my, I guess at the time, anger or into telling the story, but it's not written from the angry perspective, I should say. No, it was more like, okay, well, what I had a lot of energy to put into, so I was fighting for the future of these two children, and the future of our family, and later, I really wanted to share that story.
Mm-hmm. And I think you got a great story to tell. I'd like to hear more about your children with Lane Igoudin of A Family Maybe. But first, listen to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios, Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. It's 1-800-303-3960, or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, time to give an official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson-Zia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you'll love Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon, paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is illusion and those who love be the first go missing. It's available on Amazon, paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Molson-Zia has got great reviews, and Eve Levin endorsed by Howard celebrities, including Joanna Cassie, Forrest Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today, for it goes Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon. Coming soon, Missing 2, double the suspense, double the fun. Check it out on Amazon. Also brought to you by Sweet Psalmist by Serena Wagner, based on the life of David, including theories, quiz of pains, and King David Psalms. The Sweet Psalmist gives new perspective on the life of David through the Psalms he wrote and times of shepherd where it started, and complicated yet turbulent relationship with King Saul. His story of love, betrayal, repentance, hope, and more. Check out the Sweet Psalmist by Serena Wagner on Amazon. Keyword Sweet Psalmist Serena Wagner. Also, check out the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com. 40 podcast platforms. Heard in 100 countries. Take us with you on any mobile device. Follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and more. And check out our merchandise on the Mike Wagner Show Amazon. Merchandise, t-shirts, pop sockets, throw pillows, tote bags, hoodies, Amazon.com. Keywords the Mike Wagner Show podcast for great merchandise and more. And for more merchandise, Amazon.com/Mia Molson-Zia. Great books and more, and support the Mike Wagner Show on Anchor FM, PayPal, and the MikeWagnerShow.com. We'll hear amazing LA-based writer, blogger, and proud dad, 2 children, Lane Igoudin, here on the Mike Wagner Show with a family maybe. Before you get back to your book, you're a proud dad, and I'm very happy for your 2 adopted children. We'd like to hear about your 2 kids, first of all. We're actually very excited.
Oh, well, at the time, they were a 1-year-old and a newborn, and their sisters. And today they're young ladies. They're now young adult women. And so we're very, very proud of them. We're happy for them. We're actually empty nesting because our older daughter is working at the theme park here in Los Angeles. She graduated high school. She is very, very bright and very driven. Our younger daughter is away at college.
Oh, nice.
She is at a pretty prestigious school. She's studying environmental science. So we're still a very closely knit family because, like I said, one of our kids lives near us, and the other one, the college is not far. So she comes home every couple of weeks. As a matter of fact, we're meeting tomorrow. It's her birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Well, I'm sure she'll thank you. So the 4 of us are having brunch.
Well, she'll give thanks to everybody who wishes her happy birthday. So she's happy for it.
Yeah. But every birthday is a milestone. It's a milestone for them, but it's also a milestone for us as a family because, I remember the first, the second, and the third of both of them. So it's been a journey, and it's been a parenting journey too, because this entire time, raising our kids, it was just Jonathan and me, my husband and I. We didn't have the luxury of, having an extended family. So it was it wasn't easy, but it was also, I think there was a lot of freedom in it. We were learning by doing, I guess. Mm-hmm. Learn by doing. And the kids, what I noticed is that they're always kind of like one step ahead of you. It's like, just when you get a certain parenting stage down, you learn how to, I don't know, parent a preteen, now they're teens, once you barely survive your daughter's adolescence, and now they're off to young adulthood, it's always a stepping stone. So now we're learning to be parents to adult children. So
that's a great story you've got right there. Of course, you talked about some of the adoptive families, their stories haven't worked out, but I guess my question is, what made you, adopt those 2 children? Was it like a criteria you had to meet? Was it based on certain questions? What was that one moment that simply said, I would love to have these 2 wonderful daughters?
Well, when it comes to adoption, of course, it's it doesn't just happen, it's something that you plan, and I usually compare it to the fact that it's like you conceive the child, but in your mind, and as part of the process, we had to fill out a questionnaire, which really kind of got us thinking about, who exactly do we want? And, I helped to raise my younger sister, so this was something I was familiar with. And we kind of felt like, maybe that would be a better match for us. It's two dads with two daughters, and it has been. I think it really worked out pretty well. Sometimes I get a question, did your daughters feel stigmatized because they have gay parents? Never. And I'll be just completely honest, never. If anything, I think it gave them some sort of a kind of like that it's cool, because I
Right.
think
Yeah.
there's a
It's like what, 20 years ago or something like that when it was somewhat
yeah,
controversial. Now it's okay. So, I mean, you pretty much learned from that kind
yeah.
of trailblazing.
I mean, given that we're also living in the second largest city in the country, it's a very
Mhm.
liberal environmental, but it's I think it's a little bit more than that. I think there's a certain idea of the relationship between the father and the daughter, where the father is sort of a spoiler, the giver and all that. So when you have not, one father but two that are, they're worshiping you, that's isn't that great? In real life, it's not quite like that because I think we're parents just like anyone else. We're demanding, we're in some ways controlling, but also extremely supportive. So all of that comes into play. So no, honestly, I believe that, it takes, and this I think in some ways, I think that's probably one of the core messages of my book, because what you see there is a certain tension about the question what makes someone a parent? Is it just your, biological connection to the child? Or is it the raising of the child, which in the case of our kids was completely separate. We are not the biological parents of our children, but we're the ones who raised them, and as in our younger daughters since birth, straight from the hospital. So who lays a stronger claim to the child, the one to whom the child is biologically related, or the one who's actually been there for the child 24/7 around the clock, right? Week after week, month after month, year after year. So I think and in that sense, yeah, I think that's one of the main points of our journey.
hmm Also, too, with the daughters that you adopted as well, too. What was the background of the parents? Why did they give up for adoption? Were you ever given a story about why were they given up for adoption? Was the parents? Was it like financial, mental, anything like that? What was the main reason for the two dogs you adopted got given up by their parents? What was the story on that?
Um, I wouldn't say the word. Well, eventually the birth mother did agree to the adoption, but she was. Let me just put it this way: she was very, very young, too young, and alone.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
And she had a lot of issues that she really needed to resolve to be able to live independently, to take care of herself. So much as I'm sure she loved the kids, and much as she probably she wanted to raise the kids, it was just not within her capability to do so. Unfortunately, what was happening is that the court, which should have been building her up and helping her to become a fully functioning adult, instead was sort of gambling with children's lives, based on it. And I think in a way was misleading the mother as to what she could possibly do. It just that there's a huge distance sometimes between what you want to do and what you're capable of doing. And and um, and I feel grateful to her, honestly, for giving us these kids and for being their mother. Um, but sometimes I wonder if the system traumatized her even more exactly because they were giving her the unrealistic hope of being able to parent.
hmm I
That's
guess that
that's
was one concern I had as well too. Do you think the foster system does its job trying to uplift, encourage, and everything, or they're like, just trying to bring them down psychologically, or they've been told to bring down because of the restrictions going
Um, Even though I was pretty angry during the time that we're going through because things were going completely the wrong way, I do not really hold any grudges against any social workers or judges or anybody who because I think they all mean well. The problem there is that the system is chaotic. Their caseloads are unimaginably high, And for example, I had a lot of issues with the judge. The judge I thought was biased a certain way, and so on and so forth. But I read a study which shows that which says that a children's court judge is supposed to manage about 160 cases. In California, a children's court judge may have up to 600 cases as their load.
600? Oh my God.
Up to. So is there any wonder that that the judge really doesn't know, and in the courtroom, in the children's courtroom, you will see the judge, the presiding judge, you will see the birth parents, you will see and with their counsel, so with their attorneys each, right? So that's already 5 people. You add in the county council, which represents the county, in our case of Los Angeles, and represents the interests of the county. That makes sure that the county is not at fault over anything that's going on. Then you get the children's attorney, and we have 2 kids, it could be 2. And as you realize that none of these people will ever actually meet the kids, except for the birth parents.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else making crucial decisions, from the judge down to the children's attorney, will never meet the kids. To them, the child is a folder with reports, and they've got 200, 300, 500 of these folders sitting there.
Oh my God!
So that's in the meantime, 20 miles away, in our home, we're raising the kids, and we have no voice in what's going on in the courtroom. None. We're not wanted. We are excluded. We are marginalized from the process of decision making for the kids that we are raising. And I think that's the reality that my book unpacks in a way. And when I speak to the audiences, it's interesting because anybody who has been through foster care system, or who has adopted, or has an adopted brother, sister, what have you, knows the system, and they relate to my book in a very sort of visceral level, and it's like, yeah, that's exactly how it is. Because the rest of us who have never actually dealt with it directly, we all have those wonderful ideas, sort of this pie in the sky notions of how things should be, but that's not how they really are.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, and plus too, Andy, you can also read more about in the book if you want to maybe read a chapter, some of the chapters well too.
Sure, I'll be happy to.
And by the way, we'll get to that in 1 minute with Lane Igoudin. You listen to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by SoundCloud Studios, brought to you by our official sponsor of The Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson Missing, the Sweet Psalmist by Serena Wagner, based on the life of David, Amazon.com, keyword Sweet Psalmist Serena Wagner. We'll be back with author Lane Igoudin of A Family Maybe after this time out.
The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention The Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
Hey there, Dana Alexa here, American News anchor. Hey, let me ask you something real quick. Why do you read a book? You're buying a story, a thought, a message. And a good book entertains and inspires. And that's exactly what Missing by award-winning author Mian Zia does. I have his book right here. And it's based on real events with relatable characters that hook you from start to finish. I personally love this book. It's super powerful and meaningful. You can actually get it on Amazon right now.
The Mike Wagner Show is brought to you by Serena Wagner's book, The Sweet Psalmist, now available on Amazon. This book includes 30 exquisite paintings by well-known and unknown painters and King David's Psalms. The sweet psalmist gives us a new perspective on his life in this book. Through the Psalms he wrote, his time as a shepherd in the field is where the book starts, and it goes on to describe his complicated and turbulent relationship with King Saul as well as other events. It's a story of love, betrayal, repentance, and more. It also offers advice on approaching God and living a life that pleases him. Check out the book, The Sweet Psalmist by Serena Wagner, now available on Amazon. Keywords, Sweet Psalmist, Serena Wagner.
Hey, this is Ray Powers, and boy, are you in luck. Right place, right time. Tuned in to the Mike Wagner Show. You heard me.
We're back with author Lane Igoudin of A Family Maybe here on the Mike Wagner Show, and gave us a synopsis of the adoption process and his daughters and everything else, and the whole story. Now, speaking of stories, Lane, why don't you go ahead and pick a chapter, read some of the chapter excerpts from your book, A Family Maybe. We'd like to hear more about it. Well, I think your microphone is off, Lane. Your microphone is off.
My apologies.
Okay, now we're back on. So, okay, can you hear me now, Lane?
Yes, I can hear it perfectly.
Okay, it's like we were cut off for a minute, so go ahead here. So,
Okay, so my book is called A Family Maybe, and the very first chapter is called Curbside Delivery. And just to give you the background, the day was 6/6/6, June 6, 2006, and my partner Jonathan and I were waiting for a very unusual delivery. It was on a hot early summer afternoon, just before the breezes would begin blowing inland from the ocean, that Jonathan shot me an irritated sideways glance. Where is she? Didn't she say early in the morning? That was hours ago. What's taking her so long? A 6'3" athlete, my partner Jonathan, was lining up daisy-patterned onesies and burp cloths by the bassinet in the baby room. I heard him vacuuming this room earlier, and before that, tidying up the crib and the toys in the baby room upstairs. Patience, dear, I sighed. Give her a few more minutes. She should be on her way. Like John, I was trying to control my anxiety by being useful, yet I couldn't help rushing to the window every time I heard a car drive by. Jackie Willis, our designated Los Angeles County social worker, was neither here nor responding to my calls. Did the county change its mind? Did they release the baby to her mother, Jana? We'd been living with this uncertainty for months. Jana was due around Memorial Day, which we just have, by the way. You can
right. It fits perfectly too.
It fits perfectly. It's a Memorial Day story. But with office closures and Jackie out on medical leave, the baby could have gone to the wrong home. But that Memorial Day, I received a phone call from Babushka, my Russian-speaking grandmother. Mazel tov, she announced. Your Jana gave birth today. How on earth did you know that? You've heard nothing from the county. I just know, she said. Так что не волнуйся, сам увидишь. Don't worry, you'll see it for yourself. I relayed her announcement to Jonathan, and he chuckled at my dear 84-year-old grandmother, our closest ally in the family. I chuckled too, but deep down I felt even more anxious. What if she was right? I had no experience raising a newborn, nor did John. Zero. We'd been trained and certified that I was all just textbook learning. Were we really about to become caretakers of a tiny, fragile life? 100%, 24/7? What were we getting ourselves into? 3 days later, a social worker called from the hospital with the news that the baby had been born on Memorial Day, just as Babushka had said. But she couldn't be released yet. She had sepsis, a potentially fatal blood infection, and had to be put on medication.
Ooh.
Other arrangements had already been made by Jackie's Department of Children and Family Services. The newborn would not be released to the mother. Instead, she would be detained, that is, put in the court's protective custody and placed with us as her emergency foster home. The baby would remain with us as her long-term foster parents, while Jana would be given an opportunity and resources to reunify with her child. Sepsis made it easier for the county to carry out its plan. Jana recovered quickly and was discharged home to continue, as we were told, with her drug rehab and counseling. Meanwhile, the baby was improving on antibiotics while the court, on the DCFS request, formally detained her. But Jana came back to breastfeed, and the nurse leaked the secret. Devastated and desperate, Jana refused to leave, pleading with the staff to let her take her baby home. Would you like me to continue?
Yeah, I think that would be really interesting as well. And I can understand the attachment of the mother, the baby, and everything like that. And of course, I guess the question is, during that time, is the real mom allowed to still be in touch with you, or is it just like they said, no, you can't touch or talk, I should say?
Well, ours was a closed adoption, and it was really not our choosing in a way, because all of that was decided before we were let into the process to become the adoptive parents of the children that we've been raising. So, no, there is no contact. There is no contact. If the children ever want to find their birth parents, they can, approach the county, ask to see their cases. So that's their choice. Yeah.
Okay, but I was going to ask too that were you given information about the actual birth mom, and we allowed to contact her as well too? Were you allowed to do that, or did the course tell you no?
Oh, she is very much a part of the book. I mean, the
Okay.
process was, yes, because basically, as what you'll see how the story will develop when the child is being brought to our house, and at the end of the chapter, I'm sitting on the couch feeding the baby, giving her first feeding, and Jonathan gets up, picks up his car keys, and heads out to the daycare to pick up the baby's older sister, and that's the end of the
Mm-hmm.
first chapter. So that kind of gives you a snapshot as to where we are in this process. We had many, many, many visits with the birth mother and with the birth father of one of the kids. And so we did get to know her very well. And we also got to know the birth father as well and his family. So, and I try to withhold any sort of commentary as to what I think and what I feel about them. I just try to portray what was happening and what at the visits during the contact and things like that, because I was just documenting what was going on, so the reader can make their own conclusions about the situation.
Okay, and of course, what's the message you want to tell people that like I say about adoption? You can adopt, be careful, or what to expect and everything. What do you want readers to get from the book, man?
Even though my book is pretty dramatic, it's a thriller, and it was not meant to be, but that's what it ended up being. Um, it has a happy end, and I want your listeners to really focus on that happy end. Yes, we went through a pretty difficult ordeal, but it was worth it. It was worth it. We're so blessed that we have our children, and I would not want anyone to get discouraged or in somehow sort of lose heart over it. What I would say is that just make sure that you learn about the process. Though you read, you meet with other parents, you go to the orientations and all these things, because the system is complex. It has many parties involved. And that's something that I feel like, we should have done more before we went. Yes, we got certified, home study, parenting classes, that was all fine, but we really didn't understand the system until we were fully in it. So yeah, there are resources out there. There's more now. Maybe my book is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yes, educate yourself. And if you have an opportunity to take a child in and give them a home, despite everything, just do it. Do it.
Okay, and where can we find your book and how it works at, Lane?
Well, it's published by Traditional Press, so it's available on Amazon, on Bookshop. If you want me to sign it for you, you can get it on my website, which is laneigoudin.com. It's right there. But yeah, it's available. It's available as a hard copy, but also as an ebook for those who prefer that format.
And what's your website again?
LaneIgoudin.com, which is Lane, G as in George, O, U, D as in David, I, and like New York. LaneIgoudin.com.
We will certainly check that out. Once again, with author Lane Igoudin of A Family Baby here on the Mike Wagner Show. Just a few more things. What else can we expect from you 2025 and beyond?
What am I expecting?
Yes, or what can we expect from you in 2025 and
Oh,
past that?
sure. Well, last year I had a pretty busy book tour. I spoke at 12 different places from Portland to Los Angeles to Mexico City.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm actually continuing. I just gave a pretty big author talk, and there will be another one later this summer of all places in Jerusalem, because I'm going
Oh, my goodness.
in just a couple of weeks. Um, and but what's happening is there's a lot of interest in this story because there's a lot of interest, I think, in the world of child welfare, especially from the angles that people are not quite aware of, and given the magnitude of the issue, of the problem, and so many ethical concerns about it. So I've been pretty I think I told you before the interview, I think this is my 23rd interview this
Correct. Yeah. And of course, more to come and getting more people educated, especially with the state of the situation in the United States and the world today with children.
Yeah. But I'm also another project it's been an ongoing sort of a labor of love for me is writing about mindfulness and spirituality from the Jewish perspective. And really what brought me into it is, we raised our kids with faith. That was a given. But parenting itself, kind of becoming more I will use the word mindful of the way I parent instead of being reactive. That was another sort of driving force for me to write more about it. So I've been publishing quite a bit about the sort of the intersection between spirituality, mindfulness, spirituality, and parenting. And so I have a free monthly newsletter. I would invite anyone to check it out. It's called Blessing the Sea, which is one of the traditional Jewish blessings, and in which I bring in and comment on various sources which relate to this, like I said, this intersection of parenting, mindfulness, spirituality, faith in daily life.
Mm-hmm. And you also use it in your blogs as well too, and
yes,
being a writer as well. Yes.
Yeah. A couple of the articles came out recently. One of them was, I mentioned to you that we are empty nesting. So I published an article in a Jewish journal here in Los Angeles about empty nesting from a spiritual perspective. What it actually means. If you are a person of faith. So that's kind of a thing that's been important for me recently. So that might be my next project.
Oh, that'd be wonderful. Looking forward to that with Blessing the Sea and more. Who do you consider biggest influence in your career?
I'm a nonfiction writer. I do not invent things, but I'm very interested in life and observing life. And I would say the one writer that's been a major influence on me is Joan Didion, because she really takes a sort of like microscope to the society, and she was, unfortunately, she passed away recently, able to look at life from very, I would say, sharp but very unusual angles. And the way she writes also influenced me a lot. So I would say in terms of nonfiction, she's been my primary influence.
And certainly amazing. And what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
Well, if your listeners are considering adopting kids or they know someone, I think I would like them to not to lose hope, but actually, like I said, learn more. And I don't think it's a very good question for me.
Oh, that's perfectly okay. It can be in general, or simply say, just do it, or be positive, everything like that. But I think that's really good advice as well. We want people to do that. So, yeah.
Okay, we can rewind it then. Okay. So the advice that I would give your listeners is that if you are considering adopting for foster care, just do it. But in general, if I'm asked, what does a child need? I would say the child needs love and commitment, and that's where it should come from. But you know what else I would also add to it? If you are in a couple, as a couple, this is where it begins, and I think you really, from what I learned from my experience as a parent, that our family begins with the relationship between me and my partner. So I need to pay attention to them. Don't take them for granted. I need to love them and give them more. So basically, care about your partner, and that peace between you and your partner will bring the peace that your kids will know in your family.
And I think that's a really good point as well, too. Very wonderful. Here with the amazing author, Lane Igoudin of A Family Maybe here on the Mike Wagner Show. Lane, a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely fantastic. Learned a lot.
Thank you,
Looking
Mike.
forward to
Thank
having
you.
soon. And don't forget to keep us up to date. Keep in touch. Love to have you back. And maybe your daughters can come on and talk as well, too. You're welcome to join on the family thing. And one more thing. What's your website? How do people contact you? Where can people purchase or check out your book?
Okay, my website is laneigoudin.com, LANEIGOUDIN.com. But my book, A Family Maybe, is available on basically any book selling website, such as Amazon, Bookshop, Barnes and Noble, even in some stores too, I noticed. So if you get my book, if you would like to reach out to me, by all means, I love hearing from my readers.
We will certainly do that as well. Once again, Lane, a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely amazing. Looking forward to having soon. Keep us up to date. Keep in touch. Love to have you back. We wish you all best. And Lane, you definitely have a great future ahead of you.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you.
The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention the Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
Hey there, Dana Alexa here, American news anchor. Hey, let me ask you something real quick. Why do you read a book? You're buying a story, a thought, a message, and a good book entertains and inspires, and that's exactly what Missing by award-winning author Mian Zia does. I have his book right here, and it's based on real events with relatable characters that hook you from start to finish. I personally love this book. It's super powerful and meaningful. You can actually get it on Amazon right now.
The Mike Wagner Show is brought to you by Serena Wagner's book, The Sweet Psalmist, now available on Amazon. This book includes 30 exquisite paintings by well-known and unknown painters and King David Psalms. The Sweet Psalmist gives us a new perspective on his life in this book. Through the Psalms he wrote, his time as a shepherd in the field is where the book starts, and it goes on to describe his complicated and turbulent relationship with King Saul as well as other events. It's a story of love, betrayal, repentance, and more. It also offers advice on approaching God and living a life that pleases him. Check out the book, The Sweet Psalmist by Serena Wagner, now available on Amazon. Keywords, Sweet Psalmist, Serena Wagner.
Thanks for listening to the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, YouTube, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and themikewagnershow.com. Please support our program with your donations at themikewagnershow.com. Join us again next time for another great episode of The Mike Wagner Show.